My name is Akil Patterson, host of the Big 3 podcast powered by G Media. On this week's episode, we have not only a UGA legend, but maybe an NFL legend, at least in his own mind. It's Jeff Owens, who's also a college defensive line coach and recruiting. So, as I always say, welcome to the Big 3 powered by G Media. Let's get to it. What's going on, my man? Welcome to the Big 3 podcast powered by G Media. So happy to have you on today's episode. We go back, man. We go back some years. I mean, matter of fact, you only had one child when I met you.
Yeah, one child.
And now I look at them, three, and they're big, man. They're growing so fast. So congratulations on that blessing.
Definitely appreciate that so much, man. And like I said, it's really a blessing. Having the three kids, like I said, when we first met, I only had one, and he was a small baby.
Yeah,
really just born. And now I got three big kids, and my oldest, he'll be 6 years old this year. So, man, it's really a blessing.
That's amazing, brother. I'm excited. Now, when we met, we were working in advocacy with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Shout out to our friends over the AIDS Healthcare Foundation on the work they do. When we met, we were both former collegiate. We had both. Well, you had a longer stint in the NFL than I ever did. Mine was more like a workout and a get your bags packed, you're out of here. You actually made it through training camp. So why don't you talk about your career as a college athlete, pro athlete, and then moving out into other avenues. Obviously you are a crypto fan, so that's why I brought you on, but we'll get to that after we just kind of get to know you a little bit.
Like you said, I was fortunate enough to play at the University of Georgia, started in over 30 games in the SEC, played in some big time college football games, played in 2 Sugar Bowls, won the SEC title, so very fortunate, very blessed, to even get drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles back in 2010 by Coach Andy Reid. Shout outs to the Eagles and shout outs to the Kansas City Chiefs. But definitely just a blessing, just to be able to play at that high level and have an opportunity to, to reach my goals, which was to play professional. So it truly was a blessing. And not only that, I ended up tearing my knee out playing against the Minnesota Vikings week 17. And it really just, hurt me. And I really hung up the cleats after that and just started working, moved back to Atlanta, was working there. Then I ended up moving back home, back to Fort Lauderdale, help my dad out. He still runs a stucco and plastering business down in Fort Lauderdale. Then got into coaching. I started coaching, matter of fact, I actually started coaching back in 2011, which I got my first job under Coach Frank Kepler at West Forsyth High School in Atlanta. So I actually was started coaching back in 2011, moved down to South Florida, ended up getting a job, working with the school board and also with AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And I was coaching back in 2016, before I had my first child, my first son. I was coaching at my old high school, Plantation High School. That's, matter of fact, where I met my wife.
I'm sorry, wait a second. Your high school is called Plantation High School?
Yeah, Plantation High School, home of the Colonel.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah, Plantation High School, down in Fort Lauderdale, Broward County.
Nobody thinks that's a problem, huh? All right. Okay.
Well, I actually no one never had said anything until I went to college. When I went to Georgia, and the folks were like, "What high school you?" Oh, I went to Plantation. What? Plantation?
You never thought about it. I was like, did nobody, somebody didn't think, see, this is why I know people are crazy. Like nobody thought, well, it seems okay to us. I'm like, So you in
Plantation
South
High
Florida
School.
playing at a predominantly black high school called Plantation High School, home of the Colonels.
Home of the Colonels. Yep, Plantation High School. Yep, we had the whoop stick back then.
Oh Lord.
Great folks came from out of Plantation. Like I say, I was coaching back in 2016 while I was working with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, also with the Broward County Public Schools, working in advocacy, and from there, my wife, she's actually active duty Army. So we're a military family, and we end up getting stationed in Savannah, Georgia. So we end up moving to Savannah and my wife actually was the one who did it, end up meeting a guy named Aaron, one of the coaches at Savannah State, met him. He actually overheard her talking to my son about he was buying some football cleats, his first pair of football cleats. He was playing 5-year-old for what is it?
With that
U9
flag football?
Flag football for I9 Sports. So he was getting his first taste of football, and my wife was in the store buying him some cleats, and Coach Aaron overheard her talking to him and was saying, talking about me, your dad played at Georgia, just I guess what else she was saying, and he overheard and was like, hey, you should tell him to come out. Yeah. And so that's actually how I actually had got put on with Savannah State from Coach Aaron, who was the wide receivers coach. He actually what got me out there. And so was fortunate enough, Coach Sean Quinn, shout out to Coach Sean Quinn, who, brought me on this staff, so thankful for the opportunity, because, he didn't have to, give me a shot. He didn't know who I was. So I was very fortunate, for him and still indebted to him for that opportunity. And coached at Savannah State last year. Had a hell of a season. We was 8-2. First time winning 8 games since 1994, over 30 years.
And a tough Division II conference, to say the least. I mean, that's the same conference as Albany.
Yep,
Albany State. Albany State. What's
Fort
the other?
Valley.
Huh?
Fort Valley.
Yeah, Fort Valley.
State.
Now there's
also Tuskegee.
Tuskegee, geez, man. So you guys had it's a pretty tough conference, even though it's Division II. And I always tell people, I was a 2-time Division II All-American and a Division I All-American. I'm just saying I'm that talented, but no, it's good football. It's still good football. I mean, there's good kids
good
there.
Football. Yeah, it's so good. I'm telling you, it's good to a point where not Valdosta State, but Fort Valley State actually had one of the receivers sign an NFL contract from the Savannah State team that we just had. We had one of our cornerbacks, Levante. He signed with Calgary Canadian League.
Right on.
But he's on a contract with them. We also had one of the guys playing the senior, not the Senior Bowl, but the Legacy Bowl, the Black College Bowl game. So it's a lot of talent coming out those conferences, a lot of talent.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the pool has gotten a lot better over the last couple of years, especially when it comes because D1 now. I mean, you and I will both say, I played at Maryland, you played at UGA. Having an opportunity to play top level football used to be you had to go to one of these big time schools, big time programs. Now you're starting to see kids that, the transfer portal's always open at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a revolving door. So you can get a quality player in at a lower division school that simply just wants to play the game, work on their talents and go to the next level. Or you can get somebody that's a quality player that's like, look, I just want to go to school. I don't want to be here as a job in a couple months. So, you guys are definitely doing some things. So tell us about what you're making this move to Kentucky Christian University and kind of setting up shop there.
Yeah, like I say, we had a great season. Fortunately, I'm so thankful to our head coach, Coach Russell, Coach Jake Russell, gave me the opportunity, brought me on this staff as a defensive line coach. And like I say, been here since February. So we're actually getting ready for the season, for the upcoming season. We're 61 days away from our first practice. So when summer training camp, so we're trying to prepare. We have Zoom calls with the guys right now, just letting them, just trying to keep communication up with them, the ones that's at home. So, we're really, trying to change the culture. The year before our coach got here, the spring season, they were 6-2. We had a pretty good team, but the head coach ended up leaving, going somewhere else. So then our coach, Coach Jake Russell, got the head coaching job. And last year we had a rough season, 3-8. A lot of guys left, like I say, with the transfer portal. A lot of guys left, so we're trying to rebuild, trying to bring in the right guys with the right mindsets, good high character guys, guys that's trying to buy into what we're trying to do, and get on our page. And like I say, we're trying to win ball games this year. So I definitely want y'all to check us out and see what we're working with, bringing in some studs. And like I say, with that transfer portal, I'll say this, it's a blessing and a curse for some guys, because it's really helping out kids. And then also on the other end, is really hurting kids. So the reason why I say it's helping kids, because just last year at Savannah State, we've had at least 5 guys, about 7 guys move up from Division II to Division I. We've had, on the defensive line, we've had three defensive linemen, from Jakista Lee, who was a true freshman last year, and now he's at Hampton University. Also, another guy named Salik McCray was a grad transfer. He's at Gardner Webb. And we just had another grad transfer in Cam Brown, who actually just signed to Murray State. And also we had one guy named Keywan Harris, who just signed to Western Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
We've had one of our safeties, another safety, he ended up signing to Hampton as well. So just off that team alone, we've had those guys move up the ranks, move up from Division II to FCS, and also one Division I at Western Kentucky.
Man,
so,
that's wild, man. And here's the deal about, when you're seeing kids go to new programs and they're getting out of the places they're at, there's got to be a connection to somebody. And for me, I know that when I was coaching, I always said, sorry, one of my mentors texted me as we're having this conversation. Hopefully he's 78 years old, folks, so I'm not going to be too mean to him. But one of the things you always have to do is have a connection to somebody at a university. And once that connection or relationship is gone, your loyalty to that school goes away. How are you working to keep young people connected to you, and that their loyalties will be towards the program and graduating? Because I mean, that's basically, when we're all going to school for something.
mm-hmm.
And most of us will go on to do something professionally other than play sports. So are you trying to keep those young folks that you're recruiting engaged with you and say, hey, look, rather you go on to this school or that school, you can still reach out to me?
Yeah, that's a good question. One thing I'll say, just being genuine, being honest, and just, I treat these guys, just like I want someone to treat my guys, and I treat them like they my own, so I really just I invest in my guys. I really want to invest in them, to get the most out of them, like say, not just to be a coach for here, but for 10, 15 years down the road, where they invite me to their weddings. That's the type of relationship I like to have with my players, a father figure, but it's tough love, it's real tough love, as much as I love on them, I'll be on them just as much. Even like I say, for the small details. And like I say, we're trying to raise men here. And, we try to live off the 3 C's, Christ, character, and career. So that's one thing that we're built on, our motto. And like I say, we're trying to sharpen the blade. We're sharpening each other. Iron sharpens iron. So the main thing is that's what we're trying to do with these kids. And and, give them something, a father figure, because, a lot of guys really don't have father figures or male role models in their life, so just try to stand in the gap, not just during the time that we're here, but also, furthering their life.
I gotta commend you for that. My mentor and I were talking last night, and he said something to me very, very profound. He's a 78-year-old Black man, and he said to me, he goes, Akil, he goes, of all the things that you've noticed in this world, who commits all these crimes? And I thought, I was like, well, young boys. He goes, no. He even looked at me. He goes, no, it's mostly young white men. And he says, you know why? I said, no. He goes, because they don't have what you have, and that's community. And I thought, and I was like, oh, he's like, even young Black men, they tend to do things because of community. Community drives them to do stuff. So rather your community says, hey, you're going to go on and play football, or your community says you're going to go on to be a drug dealer, it's community that drives you in a direction. A lot of just frivolous crimes and things that happen for no reason happen because there's a lack of community. And so when you're working with these young people, you're giving them a sense of community, right? Is that what you're trying to establish, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And, that community is the brotherhood, that we try to build amongst each other, because football is a team sport. We have to need each other. We have to rely on each other. So that's one thing. Try to build that family-oriented, where everyone's, we seeing each other as our brother, looking out for our brother, taking care of our brother, like I say, build lifelong bonds.
Well, I tell you what, so lifelong bonds is how we met. And so I always find it interesting. We are. I don't even remember what our first trip was. I mean, we've traveled the country together. Like, legitimately, folks, we've traveled the country together. I mean, we've been to Florida, California, Mississippi, Louisiana, New York, Alabama. Like, we've traveled the country together. Mm-hmm. And then to come to find out, we won't say our friend's name. We have a mutual friend who's like, yo, yeah, that's my homie. I'm like, what? His friend was dating my friend. It was ridiculous. Like, the small world that we come from in the college sports world is just amazing. And then when you go into professional life, you start working with people. So when we were working with AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and again, shout out to AIDS Healthcare Foundation, was the largest HIV provider in the world. Neither one of us directly are impacted, right? Like, it's not like, hey, our everyday lives are dealing with this, but we saw the atrocities and the sadness that occurred in our communities. And you being in South Florida, and me being, the North at the time, Northeast. Now I'm out in the Pacific Northwest. Talk about just wanting to be an advocate for people who cannot advocate for themselves, oftentimes, where they don't know how to, especially as a coach.
Yeah. And, like I said, I guess it stems from childhood, because, not to brag or boast, but, growing up, I always was, very athletic, very talented, so folks always looked up to me, that always been from when I was a young child. All the way to an adulthood, so with having that kind of responsibility and seeing that, I always wanted to, to help folks that couldn't help themselves, and working in the HIV/AIDS community, it has taught me a lot, it showed me a lot, like I say, what goes on, in this world, and some of the things that people are dealing with on a daily basis, and we're just, like I said, we're fortunate, so I have to be thankful, for the things that you have, and, for the life that you have, because that's a stressful life, seeing folks, just not having no housing, which is, something major, especially right now, with the inflation and everything is getting worse, it's not getting better, and unfortunately, I've been out of it, coaching, so I haven't really seen it, because really we was on, on the ground floors, we was in the trenches.
Yeah.
We was in the E&D, working in it. So, seeing it at, firsthand, like I say, going state to state, advocating and letting our voices be heard, for for people that's less unfortunate than we are.
Yeah.
Really taught me a lot. And that's something I'm going to instill in my kids. And not only that, I instill that, in my coaching. I have my guys doing community service work, going out in the community, speaking with the elderly, trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
So that's something that's instilled with me, that I'm going to continue to do.
Life of service is oftentimes very difficult. But here's where I, so in terms of service, right? Because we got to switch a little bit. You get your young people out there, you're getting your family involved. Now it's about service. And when you talk about service, you got to service yourself and you got to service what's right for your family.
Mm-hmm.
You got into cryptocurrencies and you got into, and one of the things you just said, you brought it up clear as day. You're like, well, way inflation going, housing is a difficult thing for people.
Mm-hmm.
Your dollar's not getting stretched as far.
Yeah.
What brought you into the crypto markets and industry, just kind of thinking about like your family and your trajectory?
Yeah. Well, what brought me into it is, hearing about it, seeing about it. It was everywhere, about 2 years ago. Also too, what really had, I should have been got in it, when it first came out, because I heard about it, but, just really paid no attention, didn't know how to get in it, really didn't take the steps to try to get in it. But then when Dogecoin, what really, took it off, when Dogecoin, I was in it before, I guess when it was supposed to get up to could it get to 5 cents or something, or could it get to and I didn't even get in it. So I'm just watching it. Okay. Then it go, could it get from 5 cents to could it get to 10 cents? And I still didn't get in.
What were you waiting on? Like I got in it when I was like, can this thing hit a penny? Whatever. It was the biggest, it's what I call my $1,000 gamble, right? I mean, and trust me, I have gambled on far stupider things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you have too. I mean, you played college football at UGA. You probably gambled on something dumb before too. Like, all right, I'm going to see how many sacks you got. I'm going to bet you my meal card or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
See?
But
why would you wait so long?
I didn't get in it though. And I mean, I literally did not get in it all the way until it got up to 60 cents.
Really?
I think.
You waited till 60 cents?
Yeah.
Listen, folks, nothing that you hear is financial advice, but don't take it from this guy. I swear to you, just don't take it. What?
Well, I had my doubts. I didn't know how to get in. I was like, I really wasn't, because I was in the stocks more, and I guess I still haven't had done enough research on it.
Yeah.
So I was just watching it, just like how any other just trader just jumping in it. I was FOMOing in it.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah. So that's what ended up making me get in it. But
I tell you. Go ahead, man.
So from there, then I started, focusing it. My wife was the one who got me paying attention to the Dogecoin, because my wife, she was, in the service, and that's what they was talking about. Oh, baby, we need to do crypto. So that's what really, and got me in it. When I really think back, my wife, because her young soldiers was talking about how much money they making out of it, and so then she ended up bringing it to me. But I never, got into it until, so that was probably about, when I first was trying to get into it, probably about 6 months before, about 3 months before the whole Dogecoin situation. And then after that, I got in it. And one crypto that I fell in love with was SafeMoon. So I got into SafeMoon, didn't make too much money, but then I actually getting into ETH. So that's that's where I got most of my funds in ETH. I know it's down right now.
Well, that's okay though.
That late.
Yeah. Well, you know what? As they say, not your not your seed phrase, not your wallet, not your keys, not your crypto. So I would suggest that you look into those things a little bit more and around, making sure you get your a good wallet, some good investment strategies. I'm a quietly help you. And I'm only helping him folks because he's a friend. Like I know him outside of like me doing this podcast. So I'm gonna be your consigliere.
Okay. I did a lot of research. I got a wallet and whatnot, but now I'm not really too much trading it. I just holding it, because everything's down. So I'm just holding it, really not buying too much more, just holding it. That's all.
I'm going to tell you, when there's blood in the streets, there's green pastures not too far away. So just remember that there's blood in the streets. Everybody's running. There are opportunities. So make sure you do some financial research and investment strategies for yourself, for your community. You at home, nothing that you hear is financial advice, but it all is good knowledge to have for you to work on yourself and your community. All right. So Jeff, former athlete, now into crypto, family man, got football. You got some faith behind you. What's next? Are you looking to continue to be a coach? Are you looking to retire in 5 years? Or are you looking to build a legacy that will live on in perpetuity?
Good question. Well, right now, I think I want to, stick in the coaching. Like I said, I'm coaching at the collegiate level. This is my second season. So I really want to see, where it would take me. I got some goals, that I set out for myself. So I'm gonna try to accomplish those goals, while I got the time and energy, and some of those goals pretty much is just being the best defensive line coach, out there, be that kind of guy. So try to be the best at what I do, try to get some guys, be able to play in the NFL. That's something will be a awesome thing that I want to do for myself. But not only what I'm doing that for myself, but it's doing for the kids. Being able to get guys to the league, be able to play professional is something big. That's when you can say that you're a good coach. You know what you're doing. So I really want to try to stick in the coaching. And coach till, at least for the next probably about 10 years, before I try to retire, and when I do retire, I'm trying to have me some land, and do some homesteading. So that's my retired goals, is homesteading. Try to live off the land, have some animals, and do some homesteading.
Brother, I gotta tell you that much, that I respect the living crap out of you for that, man. Is that when we we've had our disagreements, we've had our agreements, but one thing you've been consistent with is like, I just want to have some land, build for my family, and just homestead it. Just and you've been consistent with it. And I gotta say, I would never homestead personally. Because I like amenities. I like talking on electricity. I like I like flushing the toilet. Those are the things that I like. But if you don't want all that stuff and you just really want to get in it to build yourself a life, that's something that you should do. And I think that's something that is great about what cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies and Bitcoin brings, is that it's the opportunity for people to be like, look, I want to get out of the system.
Yeah,
like, that's the deal. It's like a lot of people don't recognize. They talk about these moon boys. And it's like, yeah, but most people aren't moon boys. They're like, I just want out. I just don't want to have to do the job. I like working. I want to go do something. Like, you could go be a high school coach and just coach football there and not have to worry about anything else and raise the boys and the girls, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not like say having your own, having some land, being able to teach your kids some skills, useful skills in the world, and not only that, just get out the city. The city's overcrowded. Like I said, when you have young kids, you want to raise your kids up right. Have them in a good environment where they could grow and flourish.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have gotten away from all those old school values and customs. But I think we're gonna probably have to get back to them just with the way the society is going, and like I say, in crypto, hopefully that, they say that might be able to, take over the dollar one day. Everything gonna be digital, so we'll be in a digital world, which we already are in one.
Mm-hmm.
But
ain't that the truth?
Yeah. I say, hopefully everything, we can get back, normal, I guess I should say. Especially I'm talking about with the inflation, man. That's gas is crazy. I'm in Kentucky, in Grayson, Kentucky, and the gas $4.60. Small town Kentucky, around 3,000 people.
Ooh, 3,000. Oh, that's too small. That's too small. That's way too small, And for me being a city, like you from Fort Lauderdale, so it was just hot. It's just hot down there. And then you went to UGA, and then that just is big and hot, like muggy. But I'm from Maryland, man. I don't mind because I tell you what, even when I was at Maryland, I never felt like I was on a big campus. Even when I lived in Baltimore, I always felt like I was just a few miles from the country, So I've always felt like I've had access to even here where I live now in the Pacific Northwest. It's like I have access to mountains and I can Jeep out and I can go exploring, but I ain't gotta live out there,
Oh man, like I said, you always around the cities, but like I say, and not only that, my wife doing some homeschooling with my kids, so which is helping out tremendously, So that's why we wouldn't mind, like I say, being out, because we homeschooling the kids.
That's what's up. Right on, man. Yeah. Now, just to get back and kind of wrap it up now, because obviously, I like to keep these podcasts kind of intimate and professional and fun. I have what we call this is the big three in me. Now we cover crypto, competition, and culture, right? So we've done the culture, we've done the competition, we've done crypto, right? Because that's just who we are naturally. But now I need to ask you what your big three are. And remember, folks, nothing that he's about to say is financial advice. So Jeff, what are your big three cryptos? What are the cryptos that excite you, or NFTs or blockchain or protocols? What are the three things that excite you most in this industry that you think will have dividends or paybacks for you?
Which companies?
Listen, okay. I'll give you free. I'll give you carte blanche on this one. You can say whatever you want, brother.
Okay. Well, my favorite, who I love is Charles Hopkins with Cardano. I think
we had him on my show not too long ago. We talked to him for an hour. So yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, yeah. Shout out. Okay, that's what's up. Man,
now you're like, oh, well, okay, you fanboying.
Hey, I'm serious. That man, for what he created, man. I mean, like I say, you got to be able to solve problems in this world. And for what he had built, from the ground up, I tip my hat off to that. Really do. So I really like Cardano for what they got going on, what they doing over in Africa. Yeah. I mean, just it's tremendous. I follow him. I listen to his speeches that he be having. So I actually like him. I'm a big fan of him. Also too, Ethereum, ETH. Say I'm high on that. Just because that's really gonna be the game changer. With what they doing. And I think the one that I'm really high, which I'm so down right now, is SafeMoon. I really had loved what SafeMoon was doing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had it. That was me throwing up.
See, I know, man. What? I know, man.
No, I love you. I love you, brother. I really do. But what did they build? Like, I know what Cardano does, right? I know what people are using Cardano. I know what Ethereum is because I know what people are using Ethereum and layer 2. Yeah. What did SafeMoon do? Like anything?
Well, they had a lot of plans. I'll say that, quote unquote, which haven't came to fruition yet. So
I'm gonna keep praying for y'all in the SafeMoon community.
I know, man. I'm really, I'm like this.
I've never met a safe fooder that was. Oh man, this is almost heartbreaking. Like, and it's not financial advice. I don't give financial advice, but when you talk about everything that everyone else is building, or at least had roadmaps and plans, all I ever heard was hopes and dreams based off of hyperbole, like just not even like real facts. Like nothing was there. There was no evidence. And you know me, I'm 100% like, if it ain't in front of me, I can't believe it, right? I'm like, well, I'll read about it. I'll find out, like I'll study stuff that you and I, remember, that's how we get in our debates, is that like, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying, let me go read about it so I can come to my own conclusion, which you have always allowed me that blessing, to go back and read the information. And some of the stuff is right. Well, other stuff, not so much. And that's where Safe Moon is. Safe Moon is on the not so much side.
I know. Trust me. You don't have to tell me no more. I already know, but I was, I did like, what they were saying. I mean, I did. That's all I could go off what they were saying, which unfortunately led me to nothing. So,
well, we know next time you'll go off of not what people say, but what they do and how they carry themselves.
Yeah.
And that's, but look, I here on this show, Big Three and Me, there's something there's two things. You can either learn a lot or you can lose a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose a lot, that means you most likely had a lot to lose, and you can keep losing. But if you learn a lot, that means you just took some time and you're like, look, all right, this didn't work out. What were the mistakes I made? It's like when we play football, man, when you're out there and you're on a defensive line, of course I was a defensive lineman, so I don't really know anything, but on the defensive line, hey, if your swim move didn't work the first 12 times, maybe you need to mix it up. Maybe you need to punch the hands. Maybe you need to smack them down. Maybe you need to go over. Maybe you need to bull rush. You got to find whatever works to get through, right? And that's what cryptocurrency is. It's finding whatever works for you to work for you.
Yeah, and like I say, what got me was, everyone, in the beginning, as you know, different projects popping up. So you was trying to catch the next one, trying to day trade, whatnot. But I actually don't do that no more. That's when I first got in it, was playing around with it, until I learned everything and, did the research. That's why I'm so big on, like, say, Cardano. That's where you want to, put your money at, in my opinion.
No, I think Charles is working hard. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a good work, but sometimes you get caught up with the names, and the hype and FOMO. So FOMO is real.
Well, Jeff Owens, former defensive end for the Philadelphia Eagles, former UGA defensive lineman, collegiate All-American, and now defensive line coach at the Kentucky Christian University. Final thoughts before we log off, my friend.
Well, I'm just glad that you brought me. I appreciate the podcast, and definitely want to come back again. And I'm going to be tuning in, and it's a great journey that you're on, brother. It's always a pleasure. And like I say, whenever you're in Kentucky, man, you got to come holler at me.
Well, definitely. Hopefully we will not have any Kentucky Fried Chicken. We will not wear any Colonel's clothing, and we will not be on a plantation. Those are the things that I will assure you we will not do. My name is Akil Patterson, host of the Big Three and Me, powered by G Media. And if someone hasn't told you they love you today, remember that I just did. Have a great day and an even better tomorrow.